Good. Well, I'm excited to have this chat with you and to introduce you to the community and to allow people to get to know you better on a personal, professional basis. I know that you have a really interesting story that is one that will be relatable to so many as you have come out of corporate and closing your accounting business and transitioning into Reiki, sound healing, and just an alternative lifestyle, perhaps. So looking forward to just diving into all that with you and seeing where it
Okay,
goes.
that sounds good.
Yeah. So with that, if it's okay with you, I'd love to just kick things off by asking you to share a bit about your journey. What you feel is relevant in terms of how it's led to this moment now, and anything that you feel guided to share with us in terms of your path.
Okay, yeah, wonderful. Well, first, I just want to say thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. And my journey started probably about 6 years ago. And I know that we originally talked, a lot of it had to do with, I had a lot of health issues. And of course, when your health starts to decline, the first thing you do is to go to the doctor to figure out what was going on. I was diagnosed with several different diagnoses, and it helped, but it did not, I wasn't fully healed. So that's when I started to lean more towards the alternative way of healing. I got into herbs, and I was doing pretty good, but I just wasn't 100%. And I was like, I can't live like this. Like, I need to enjoy my life, basically. So that's when I was introduced to Reiki, and I craved it. My first session was virtual, and then from there I found somebody local, and I fell in love with Reiki. I loved everything about it. I started to, discover more about the energy and how energy affects us, and we're all made of energy and we all vibrate, and it just was. And I'm not like a sciencey person, but this really attracted me. And so my journey just kept going, and I was healing. My health was healing. Mentally, I was healing. And then I got introduced to the sound healing. So during, my Reiki sessions and the sound healing, I started to take classes because I saw the change that it made in my life, and it was significant. And I knew that if it could do that for me, how many other people can I help? And and I've always been like that type of person. I've always been a giver, and I always want to help people. So that, just kind of came natural for me. But it just was so incredibly amazing on what it did for me. And like I said, people just needed to be educated, because I had never heard of Reiki. I didn't know what it was. And the sound healing too. So I think that there's a lot of education that needs to happen out there. People need to be aware. Maybe it's not something for them now, but maybe later down the line, maybe it's something that would be for them, but just educating people. And so, that's kind of my journey. My journey continues. I think we all have healing to do. Once you heal one aspect of yourself, something kind of rears its ugly head, and you go, oh yeah, I think maybe I need to address that issue, So I kind of feel like our journey is just, it's a lifelong, and we just become better versions of ourselves. So, I was educated. I'm a Reiki master, a master sound healer. And I got to the point where I was so drawn to it. My accounting business was not doing it for me anymore. And I made that transition. I'm still kind of transitioning a little bit. I have like one person that I've kind of held on to for various reasons, but they'll be going away soon. But it's just, I don't have a purpose there in the accounting world, I think, is what I'm trying to say anymore. That my purpose is more helping people, help them get healthy mentally, physically, help them find peace to get a mind-body connection. So that's, in the short, that's my journey and where I'm at so far.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And I just want to say, I think, your story in particular is one that holds tremendous power and potential for others, to inspire others to lean into this path and to actually have the courage to break away from, the traditional corporate mold. Um, Someone like yourself running a successful accounting business for a couple decades, that's not easy to step away from, right? That's so much of that has become, I'm sure, embedded into the conditioning and your neurology and just the way in which you understand what life is. And so, you're a testament to the power of sound healing, of Reiki, in order to help you further evolve. Um, if it's okay, I'd love for you to just talk a minute more or so about that transition, and um, knowing it's still undergoing, but in terms of, some of the, like, how is it that this happened, right? Because, like, how did you actually decide to close that chapter of your life to more fully embrace this one? What was that struggle like? Was it hard for you to actually rip the band-aid off in that way?
It was a struggle, and I still struggle with that sometimes, because I still want to put on that accounting hat. And it's like, no, you got to take that hat off and you got to put on, the healing hat, to help others heal. And sometimes, and I think this is with anybody, you have to remember, why are you doing this, right? Why are you doing this? And we all get skewed. We all go, there's a fork in the road and we decide we want to go to the left, but no, that's not where you need to go. You need to go to the right. So, I mean, it was difficult for me, and it didn't happen overnight either. So we're talking like 3 years. So I mean, that's how long the transition really kind of took, where I decided, it's kind of like a little seed was planted, and then the seed started to sprout, and then the seed became a little plant. So that was kind of the transition. It was slow and it was a struggle, because I was taking something that I was completely comfortable with the accounting, the bookkeeping. It was like second nature to me. And then I'm going to step into this other world that's not second nature to me at this time, but will be. Even though I felt comfortable with it, it was difficult. I had a little bit of an inner struggle, but I feel
Yeah.
like I've gotten over that hump, and now I'm good.
Right. Right. And that's, so I always feel like that, it's like that's the pinnacle question, because I've been asked that too, and I think this is what allowed us to connect really well when we first chatted, which was, I come from a corporate background. I worked in private equity, and I made that transition too, and it wasn't easy. It very much was actually one of the hardest things to do, which was simply to let go. And just to have the courage to step into this. Can you speak to that in your own path and journey? Is there a defining moment where you're like, okay, enough is enough, and to actually make that practical, concrete decision to close shop and to move into this?
I did. Definitely had a defining moment. And I think that the reason that it's so hard to move away from, like you struggled to, and I struggled, and anybody, you're making basically a huge career move. You have that comfort zone. It's a safety net, and any time you're going to move away from that, you're going to have kind of an inner struggle. So I think that, the defining point for me was when I started to really focus on my meditating every day. And I had the most, and it almost brings tears to my eyes to even think about it. I had the most beautiful spiritual awakening. It was like no other. And that moment was the turning point for me. I knew exactly where I needed to be. I felt so I was at peace with my decision. I felt comfortable with it. And I just knew this is where I need to be. The universe is guiding me and I'm there.
Beautiful. And I know what you mean by when you say, I had this awakening that led me to, almost guided me, right, out of my past life, past career, into this new chapter, the metamorphosis that we talk about, of caterpillar to butterfly. But can you from your own path, define what that awakening experience was for you? Like, what does that mean to you when you say, I had this beautiful spiritual awakening?
I really feel that I connected with my higher power, and I really felt like, I felt the connection with the higher power and the connection with Mother Earth. And it was just, it's kind of hard to put into words. It was such a peaceful, beautiful feeling that I had that, I don't know if I can even put it into words. It was just peaceful. I just felt so at peace, and I didn't feel anxiety and didn't feel stress about pushing that, the counting and, that business aside. I just felt it good, if that makes sense. I don't
Yeah, no,
know.
of course. And it's so funny that in this world, our world of spirit, when the harder it is to put something into words, the more true it usually is. the journey, because anything truly godly, divine, of that higher essence, higher power, is beyond words. It's beyond the mind. It's at the point.
It was almost like the heavens opened and it was like, oh.
Yeah, I understand. I had a similar experience for myself, and it's very parallel to your journey. What led me out of my career, and yeah, with peace, it gave. I had a sense of assuredness, a sense of stability, and a knowingness that it was true. It was okay. Things were going to be okay. It was like that. Really very hard to put into words, but it was a certainty of faith in that way. Yeah.
Don't you feel like the fear kind of goes away? I mean, leaving anything that's safe and comfortable, and I mean, you're going to have fear.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt, is that fear was gone. So I knew at that point it was time for me to move on.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, that's a really good point too, because what you're describing is the ego in that way, right? Like,
Yep. Yeah.
ego is what makes us
Yes.
believe with our minds that we need certain things to be safe, to have security, to ensure survival, and when you awaken, you realize that that was just the ego mind that was fooling you into believing this, that you needed these things. So when you wake up and you realize the truth beyond what the ego mind was telling you was true, you have that deep sense of peace and knowingness because you're connected to the truth of what is.
Yeah, that is so true. Ego is, it's a tough one. I think, I think that holds a lot of people back, is their ego.
Yeah. And in many ways, I see that as the whole essence of what we're doing here. And the doing is the undoing of the ego. And that it's the unconditioning of the conditioned egoic mind and bringing us back into that sense of safety, that sense of connectedness, sense of oneness with everything, all life. Yeah. So wonderful. Okay. So that's it. I just wanted to emphasize that and just allow you to share that from your view, because I think it's really important, particularly those who are coming from such a worldly background into this space, to kind of narrate and voice that transition. So thank you for sharing your story there.
Yeah, you're welcome. And always it's not necessarily, I mean, I chose to make this a profession, but for some people, maybe that's not what they want to do, and that's okay. just being open to bringing modalities in your life that can help you live the best version of you, I think is really huge. And I really hope that people will take that away from, this discussion that we're having, is that no matter how you embrace whatever modality it is to heal yourself physically, mentally, it's all about living the best version of you that you can be.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Another really good point. You don't have to quit your day job in order to be spiritual, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And maybe you're good where you're at, and if you are, that's awesome.
Right.
And maybe you just need a practitioner. Maybe you need someone with whatever modality you're attracted to find someone, and you could, start your healing. It doesn't mean that you have to make it a profession. You don't have to do that to have that spiritual awakening and to be the best version of you possible.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So if it's okay, let's transition now to dive a bit deeper into your offerings, what you specifically provide. I know Reiki, sound healing are two of your primary modalities that you focus on. So what I would love to kind of explore with you here is, one, just for you to share kind of how you facilitate these modalities, but also then, if you can, speak to what you feel differentiates you as a practitioner of Reiki and sound healing. And I ask that because, there's a lot of people that are coming online, that are coming into this space as healers, and, very authentic ones too, but even still, there's a lot. So I'm wondering if there's any sense of, what's your X factor, if you want to put it that way, in terms of, what makes you stand out as a practitioner of these modalities.
Well, let me just say that I'll get to that question. I'll answer that question. But I think what people will notice when they're picking a practitioner, a lot of it comes down to how genuine the person is, one. And also, do you connect with them? Because and that goes in anything in life. There's something about that person's personality that you connect with. And I think that is so important when you're picking somebody. And I think it's amazing that, you're doing these interviews so people can listen to it and they be like, oh yeah, I connect with that person. And I think that really is more important to me, is that whoever I'm working with, is that we connect on a personal level. Because if your personalities don't connect, it makes it more difficult. They're like, oh, I really don't want to go back to that person, and that's with like a doctor or anything, like a professor. I don't want to go back to that class because our personalities don't connect.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, I think that's really important. So, I would encourage anybody that's looking for a practitioner, call them and talk to them. And like with Awakenpedia, they can listen to the interviews and they're going to be able to tell. And I don't know, I think that's really what I have to offer over what other people, other practitioners out there. It's just what I bring to the table as an individual, my experience, my personality, caring. So, that's what I bring.
Yes. Amazing answer. And in fact, I don't often say this, but I think that would be the best answer because it's the most true. And what you just captured is the essence of why I do these, why I sit down, exactly for that reason.
Yeah.
So that you can express your unique energetic signature. And that is what emanates out. And when people watch this and they receive it, they can see, do I resonate with Sheri?
Yeah.
Do I vibrate on the same wavelength? And that will help you to connect with new potential clients, form new relationships. It allows them to get a sense of you're the right practitioner to work with.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of great practitioners out there. It's just like, who do you mesh with? That's really, that's very, very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is why your story and like the background I focus on, because it's so important. It helps inform your narrative and your journey, and people can relate to that, and they can see if someone who's stuck in corporate right now, who's been working away in a corporate job, that wants to break out, doesn't know how, is attracted, feels an inkling towards this space. You'd be a fantastic person to connect with because you've walked that path in those shoes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So your differentiation is you, of course. you, you, right? You
It's
are the
me.
differentiation. Yeah. Um, and in terms of your offerings, Reiki, sound healing, can you speak to how you package them? Is it, one-to-one, group offerings? Do you do certain, yeah, what do you
Sure.
do?
Okay, so yeah, the Reiki is going to be a one-to-one. The only time I do it in a group is normally if I have another Reiki practitioner with me and we can beam the Reiki energy. Because usually a group, it's bigger. 1 to 2 people, I could do, but I really prefer one-on-one because the person next to you, like you have one person getting Reiki and the other person, each one of you are going to need different work. Like someone's going to have maybe their solar plexus and their root chakra completely blocked, and the other person's going to have, their crown and their throat. So really doing it one-on-one is the most beneficial. So I do it virtual and in person. I can incorporate sound at the end if that's what somebody wants to do a virtual one, and then at the very end I can incorporate sound, or it can just be just strictly a Reiki session. The sound healing, the same thing. It can be individual or we could do a group, and that's virtual or in person. So
Got it.
yeah.
Okay. And in terms of duration and stuff, do you have, is it, like one-off sessions? Do you do packages in terms of, multiple months, or is there any breakdown there?
There is a breakdown, and it is on my website, universalreikiandsoundhealing.com. You can go there, and there's you can, if you do multiple packages or multiple visits, let's say like 3, there's a discount. Same way with the sound healing, so you can find all that information on my website.
Okay. Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can speak to this at all, with a maybe like a case study, or a specific anonymous client of yours. But could you lead us through what a typical session with you is like, from intake to the end, just the high level?
Yes. So before I get there, I forgot to mention something about, so anybody that's with Awakenpedia, there is a 15% discount on any of the services that are offered. So I wanted to say that. Yeah, so here's a typical session. So let's say somebody books an appointment with me, and what I will do is I will send them a welcoming email along with the intake paperwork. And I'd like to have that returned to me before, if possible. That gives me a chance to review like what's going on with this person, and it helps me know what chakras I need to specifically, not that I work on all the chakras, but it gives me an idea on what chakras I really need to dig into to get them cleared. And then a Reiki session lasts just about an hour. And before it starts, I'll discuss with the person, like if it's virtual, I'm going to give you a call on the phone and we're going to kind of discuss. And I always ask people, what are your intentions for this Reiki session? Like, what are you wanting to get out of this? I kind of like to see where that person's coming from. And I always make people aware that during a session that they could have a physical or emotional release. They could cry, they could twitch, they might fall asleep and snore. It doesn't, and whatever happens, it doesn't matter. I've seen it all, but I just tell the people not to be embarrassed. You just have to embrace it because that's a release that needed to happen. So I make people, very aware of that. I do that in my Reiki, before the Reiki session, and also sound healing. And my group's sound healing also, if I have anybody new there, I just let them know it's okay. Whatever happens, it's okay. Just embrace it, you know? So that's a typical Reiki session. The sound healing is going to be the same way. Just kind of, I like to talk to people to kind of feel them out, like, why did you seek this out? Like, what are you trying to achieve? So I think that's really important for me to understand as a practitioner.
Sure.
Yeah, so I think that's about it.
And with your sound healing, I'm curious, what's your typical equipment situation like? Are you just using the bowls? Do you incorporate any technology into it, or is it just, you know, tech-free sound bowl experience?
It's not just the sound bowls. I have my sound bowls. I've got 2 gongs. I've got swing chimes. I have Solfeggio wind chimes. Let's see, what else do I have? I've got the Tibetan bowls, rain stick. So I let my intuition guide me. I may not use all those instruments, but they're there ready. In case my intuition says you need to do that, or you need to play the gong. I will tell you that I usually do start out with the gong in the very beginning of my sessions, and then I end the session with the gong also. But yeah, I just let my intuition guide me, and I just play whatever instrument the energy's telling me to. So there's no script. People ask me, "Do you have a script?" I'm like, no script.
Yeah, good.
I don't want to memorize a script.
Yeah. That's the purest way anyway, right? Let yourself be inspired through the unknown and get out of your own way and just be the vessel for this divine genius to be expressed.
Exactly, because they know better than you do.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I feel anyway. Yeah, right? So, yeah, in the before the sound bath starts, I also do some deep breathing, and we'll do, just a short meditation to kind of ground people. And also at the end, because sometimes if you have a lot of healing, you won't be grounded at the end. So I try to do a little bit of grounding there also. So
Yeah, that's nice.
yeah.
Nice touch.
Yeah. Yeah. So with the Reiki sessions also, this is something, and some people may not even know this, but some people will walk into their first Reiki session and expect to have this, whoa, moment. That doesn't always happen. It usually takes 3 Reiki sessions for someone to really see the difference. But what I want people to know is after your first time, you may have, like maybe an awakening or something. Maybe you don't, but just know that after you leave, the energy is still working in you for at least a week.
Yeah.
So just because you don't have something visual that you're seeing, it doesn't mean that it's not working. So I think that's really important for people to understand.
Sure. And especially with the nature of the clientele that I know that you tend to work with from trauma and addiction.
Yeah.
These are people that have a lot of heavy conditioning, a lot of layers to have to work through, right? And
yes,
that doesn't dissolve and uncondition itself in one session. Just as how you don't get a 6-pack if you go to the gym one day, one time. These spiritual hygiene, spiritual work is, while it can often be spontaneous, and we've seen it more often than not, right? There's a gradual restoration process here of coming back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like peeling an onion.
Yeah.
Layer after layer. Because, all that garbage that you're carrying with you throughout the years, it didn't get there overnight. It was year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and all these layers are happening. And it takes time to peel those layers. And there's no specific time frame for that. Somebody may peel 3 layers off at a time, and one person may not. And that's okay, because you know what? It's your journey. And you go as fast and as slow as you need to go. And there's no wrong or right. It's what it is for you. So I want people to know that it's okay. I mean, it may take somebody 5 years, it may take somebody 2 years, and it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's like what's best for you. So it's really important for people to understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. Really, another really important point, which is like we can't impose our own will on this timeline. Um, this, you know, we don't necessarily have a very concrete, accurate understanding of what our karmic inheritance is, meaning like what type of, what ego density we've brought into this incarnation as to what we have to release and work through during this time here on Earth for this one rodeo. Um, and so if you can come in with just an acceptance, right, a mindset of just whatever is, and let it be, and just accept that, I found that's something that also serves the healing journey really well and actually facilitates it and makes it just, more enjoyable too, because now you're not resisting this. You're not wanting to move faster or like be somewhere other than the here and now.
Yeah, I think that's important. That's a very, good point, and it's important for people to understand that you just have to let go. And honestly, I was kind of a control freak. I still struggle with that, but you want to have control over everything, and it's like, no, you can't. You got to release. You got to let it go and just relax and breathe, and it'll happen. Just you got to believe and surrender. And surrendering is very hard for us humans. It's a very hard thing.
Oh, yes. Yes, because from the ego's perspective,
Yes.
surrender is interpreted as giving up, right? And so it's seen as a sign of weakness, when in truth, surrender is the most powerful sign of strength, because what you're really doing is through surrender, you come into connectedness and tap into the infinite power of source.
Yeah.
And when you're operating from that level, it is unspeakable. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So once you surrender and let go, I think your journey would be more enjoyable. Yeah. But when you fight it, I think it makes it harder, and it can put up more roadblocks for you. So if people can just remember to breathe.
No,
exactly.
Right? Yes, we all need to just remember, as you said, the why, like what we're doing this for, what the point of all of this is, right? What the point of Awakenpedia is, what the point of this chat is, the point of doing anything that we're doing here, remembering the why, and remembering your breath, remembering to remember.
Exactly. Yeah.
What it is. Okay. Well, another thing I like to ask, and I think this is a good segue into wrapping this up, but I like to ask if you can share any type of wisdom or guidance with our community that you feel is just worth noting, imposing, offering to us from your own journey, perhaps something that you might have appreciated earlier on your path, maybe in the trenches of your accounting days or whatever. But what is something that you'd like to just share from your heart?
From my heart. Okay, so we touched on a lot of it, really. I've had a difficult journey, and a lot of it, I fought it. I'm just going to be honest. And that's why I say you have to let go, because the more you struggle and the more you want to hold on to whatever that is that you want to hold on to, the harder the journey is. And your journey doesn't have to be hard. It can be so incredibly beautiful. And letting go of fear. Fear is another one. If we can just let go. And I think we struggle with fear all the time in different ways. I just really think letting go and embracing, because we all have trauma, we all have stuff that we've gone through in our lives. And I think that as we continue to heal, we find other little traumas that we didn't realize that poke their head and go, "Ooh, I'm here now." And you're like, "Oh, okay, there's one more thing I got to deal with." But it's okay, because every time you deal with whatever trauma or bad thing that happened to you in your life, once you can let that go, you're going to become the best version of you. The best husband, the best wife, the best mom, the best sister, the best brother, the best person you could possibly be. So from my heart, I want people to know that it's just let go and surrender, whatever that looks like for you. And you will have the most beautiful, beautiful journey ever.
Really great advice, and from my own experience, I can affirm that in many ways, the letting go is exactly what catalyzed this entire rebirthing process for me and allowed me to unplug from the matrix in that way, unplugging and just, surrendering, going into the unknown, facing the unknown, facing the fear, right? And just letting go of the need to control this experience, and instead stepping into trust, into faith, knowing that it's going to be okay. And it always will. And it always was.
I know it always is going to be okay. And I still have to tell myself, that sometimes when going through something in my life, it's like, Sheri, it's going to be okay. It doesn't matter, no matter how you handle it, I guess is what I'm trying to say, is that the outcome is still going to be the same. The universe knows where you need to be guided. So embrace it and just let it flow. Yeah. Don't make it harder on yourself. So just love yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let it flow. That's
let it flow. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Sheri, thank you so much. I'm really honored that you're part of this with us. That you've just joined our community, and that you've just given your faith to this platform and this mission and what we're aiming to do here, and this collective mission we all share as human beings, being human. It really is much more enriching when we do it together, and we all share the same essential purpose, which is to help transmute the suffering of the world into sustainable peace. And whether that's through Reiki or sound healing or EFT, meditation, whatever it may be, that's what this all is for. Bringing us together, coming together as one, and walking hand in hand back home. So I thank you for being here, for trusting this, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how we can evolve together over the course of time.
I'm looking forward to it, and thank you very much. Thank you for creating the Awakenpedia, because I think it's going to be doing some really, really great things.
Thank you. Well, we're creating it together, and this really is a collaborative mission, that a creation of all of ours. So thank you. Talk soon, okay?
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.